Let me see. Do I want to look like a teacher? Hey, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. It's Valerie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share, 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 share. Let everybody know that SOAR again is on the air. We will be starting shortly. I'm really excited to be with you guys today. It's been a while. How's everybody doing? It has been such a long while since we've seen everyone. So I just want to know how has everybody been doing? How's life been treating you? It's April. We're in the second quarter of the year. Wow. We're in the second quarter of the year, everybody. It's been amazing. It's been great. So I just want to ask everybody to join in, share if you can with your friends. Excuse me while I get adjusted and set up. So I'm going to do what I'm asking you to do. I'm going to share as well. And we will shortly bring in our guests. Tell us where you're watching from, what city, what state. We would love to make sure that we know where we are landing. And today, we've got some exciting information. I have some exciting guests. I'm proud of them. I'm excited to know them. And they're going to share with us information about real estate. And so for those of you that have been interested or you're looking to get information, please join us. And then also share. If you know somebody that is in need, come on and share. When you come on, speak to us. Let us know you are watching, where you are watching from. All of my Chi-Town people, you just can't say Chicago. You got to say if you're from the west side or south side or the burbs. But share, make some noise. We are excited to be here. We're going to give it a couple more minutes for others to join in. And I'm grateful that this will replay. This is playing on our Facebook Live page, and it's also playing on our YouTube page. So if anybody misses it, you can grab the link and send it to them. I believe in my heart of hearts that our charge this year is to ensure that we are wise. The proverb said that our people perish for a lack of knowledge. And if we have knowledge among us, we should draw from that knowledge and take a moment. We take a moment for everything. I saw somebody made a post say, I don't have time, but then they sat down and they watched a whole series on Netflix. And so we have time for knowledge. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am excited to see you all here. And I'm hoping that you'll stick in long enough to get some nuggets, and not only just get nuggets, but ask questions. Please, everybody, ask questions, because we believe that this is the season that we will be the lender and not the borrower, that we will tap into generational wealth, that we will understand that most of the wealth gap that happens in our country is due to real estate. And minorities are often, we're behind a couple of steps, but I'm so grateful that we have a Savior that said he will redeem the time for us. And so even though what society may deem us as being behind a little bit, we are right on time. We are right in the right season with the right people that are going to guide us and only want the best for us. And I put this together even before I started my real estate journey, and it was a journey. But I am so grateful that I stuck it out, and I'm still sticking it out. And I've seen how it has caused me to be a better steward. It caused me to pay more attention to different things. And so I invited some people to join in with us just to share. We won't be with you long, so I hope you got your brunch. I'm sorry we couldn't send everybody a catered lunch, but I hope you got something good to munch on. And if you're near me and you want to pack up something and tell me to come by and get it, I will welcome that invitation. So we're going to get ready to get started. Again, thank you all so much that are watching. I'm hoping that many others will benefit from this. So before we get started, SOAR again is a non-for-profit organization. Our whole goal is to enhance people's lives, to give them a vision, a purpose, to start over, that access is restored and access is available to everyone. That's the thing. I think sometimes We make mistakes, we fall into a pit, and the enemy of our mind, the enemy of society, and just the devil himself will make us believe that there is no restoration, but there is restoration available for all of us. And not just in a spiritual format, but even in a financial format, there is restoration for us. It's just about getting the tools and working it. And so, in order to work the tools, I think we need to give it over to the people who know the tools. So I am grateful to bring on our first guest. Thank you to all of our SOAR team that is watching. Hopefully y'all can get some more people watching and our families that are watching far and near. I'm going to bring on my first guest. I met him like most people. I know most people are either my family or I went to church with them, and then they become my family. And so I'm grateful for our first guest. His name is Patrick Easley. He is an amazing realtor, and I'm going to bring him on right now just to share with us. How you doing, Patrick?
I am good. So happy to join this platform with you and grateful for the invitation.
Thank you.
Super excited to chime in and give some little tidbits. As Valerie had said, we had quite the process.
Did we?
And we just thank God for the journey, and as she had alluded to, there is restoration. There's restoration. I don't care what box you have placed yourself in or people have put you in or your finances have tried to place you in, but there is restoration and there's hope. And so I hope and I pray that on today, as we share these tidbits, that it will encourage you, that it will inspire you to make the next step, to make your move. So super excited to be here.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a moment. I'm going to let you just take the show for a second and just kind of share with people how they should prepare when looking into real estate or looking into purchasing, even if that means tearing down some myths that we may have created and helping us understand that this path is available to most people. So I want to turn it all over to you. I'm going to get out your way, and then I'll be back to join you in a few, okay?
All right, cool. Let's rock and roll.
Go ahead.
So I have, as Valerie has said, I've been tasked with kind of helping you prepare, whether you're on the buy side or whether you are looking to sell your property. And so first and foremost, it is essential that you have a real estate agent, that you find you a real estate agent. There's things that agents are privy to, things that agents know that you may not know, knowledge that you may not be privy to. We have access to information beyond what you may see on Zillow or see on many of those third-party websites that you're looking at for your next home. That agent typically will bring to the table hyper-local knowledge. So really knowing the area, knowing the community, they have put in time to study the community that you're interested in, or even perhaps the community where your house is and you're looking to sell. And so it's important that you have an agent. Agents are aware of market trends. Right now, we are in a very interesting market. Believe it or not, Illinois has many markets. People ask all the time, man, how's the market? And I tell them it really depends. It depends on what market you're in. But across the board, we're in a seller's market, basically meaning that there is not as much inventory as there is demand. And so a lot of buyers are out on the pavement looking for their home. However, there's not a lot of inventory. And so our jobs as your agents is to really provide that information to you, to make sure that you have all of the information and all of the tools and the resources that you need to make the best decision. That agent will help you properly, if you're a seller, help you properly price your home. If you are a buyer, they'll help you make the most wisest offer, the most intelligent offer. Again, just going back to the fact that we are in a very competitive market right now, high demand, low inventory. And so that agent will help you make the right decision to put you in the best possible position going forward. We have unlimited access to listings. We have negotiating power. So these are all the different types of things that when you go into gravitate toward making your move toward purchasing a home or selling your home, these are things that you need to be aware of and things that you need to think about. You can't do this on your own. You can't do it on your own. You can try, but you will be very stretched. You will be very frustrated because it's a lot that goes into real estate practice. And so my job as an agent I work with an amazing agency, Baird and Warner. It's a staple here in Chicago and just around the world. We've been around for well over 160 years. And so our biggest thing is kind of being a one-stop shop where you don't have to go over here to find your attorney, then go over there to find your lender, then go over here to find, to get your title. We're kind of a one-stop shop. And so it really helps to streamline the process for you, make things a lot easier for you. And as a buyer or a seller, you need an agent to help you kind of make that process and make that journey a little easier, especially if you're working full time and you've got a job and you've got other obligations, you've got children, you've got all these other things pulling at your attention. It's too much for one person. And now if you're on the sales side of the transaction, we're aware it can be tough selling your home. It can be super tough selling your home. It's a full-time job, and selling your home, it can also be a very emotional decision. And so you need someone that's not emotionally vested, that's not emotionally tied to your home to help you sell it and help you move forward, help you make that next move, help you market your property well. Finding an agent who has a solid marketing strategy, has a solid marketing action plan in place to help you sell your property, and your agent will then also help you vet buyers. In the climate that we're in now with COVID and all of these different things, it's important that you have somebody that can vet buyers, that you're not having just any old person coming in and out of your house who's not pre-approved. And so you need an agent. And a lot of folks, think that it's super expensive to get an agent. If you're on the buy side and you're looking to buy a home, it's no cost to you. You don't have to pay anything for an agent. However, on the sell side, you do have to pay. Sellers are responsible for paying the commission for both the buyer's agent as well as their agent. And that payment, it's not coming out of your savings account if you're a seller. That payment is not coming out of your IRA if you're a seller. It's going to be deducted from the final closing proceeds. And so when you're looking for the right agent, it's important that you find someone that you collaborate well with, someone who enjoys you, someone that you enjoy, someone that you can partnership with, someone who will assume their fiduciary duties in protecting your best interests. So my job as your agent is to make sure that you have all of the information that you need, all of the resources that you need to make the wisest decision possible. As agents, we don't get to make decisions for you. We don't get to tell you this is what you're going to price your property at, and this is what I said, and this is what it's going to be. My job is to provide for you the information that you need to make the wisest decision possible, whether that's with buying a home or whether that's with selling your home. And so I support you. I hold your hand and walk you through the entire process. You want an agent. You want someone that's relatable, someone that's authentic, someone that you like, someone that you trust. I mean, we don't buy from people that we don't like and people that we don't trust. We don't do business with people that we don't believe in. And so chemistry is key. It's key. Sometimes we'll look at people's experience and we'll kind of, make a decision based off of experience, but experience alone is not enough for you to make a decision. You want somebody that's relatable, someone that's knowledgeable, someone that has a strong work ethic, someone that has the ability to negotiate, someone who is assertive, someone who is not afraid to fight for you if that time comes, if or when that time comes. So I just encourage you, at the beginning of everything, before you do anything, get you an agent, okay? If you want to prepare right, get you an agent. I would encourage you to maybe even look up that agent. If you've got someone in mind or someone that somebody has recommended to you, look them up. Read their bio if they have one online. Look at their social media accounts to really help you get a gist of what they bring to the table. And at the end of it all, follow your gut. Follow what you feel in your gut. And so when we talk about the buying process, a lot of folks are just intimidated with making that next move because you don't feel like you qualify, or you don't feel like you've got enough saved up, or you've just kind of X yourself out of the equation. But there's hope. As Valerie said, there is hope. And a lot of times we don't make moves because we don't have the knowledge that we need to be able to make those moves. And so when we look at Getting your pre-approval, that's going to be the very first step before anything, before you're able to start looking into the perfect home. Before anything, you have to get a pre-approval. So if you have not started already, start saving for your down payment. It's imperative that you know what your FICO score is, what your mortgage FICO score is. One of the ways that you can pull your credit score, you get it free every year, freeannualcreditreport.com. Many of you probably have Credit Karma downloaded on your phones. For me, I use an app called My FICO app. And this app, it doesn't just give me a baseline credit score like Credit Karma, but it actually tells me what my mortgage FICO score is, what my auto FICO score is. It really breaks down what your credit looks like and whether or not you'll be able to qualify. In order to qualify, all it requires is a 580 credit score. I know that FHA, which is stands for Federal Housing Administration, they will give you a loan with a 580 credit score and sometimes even with a lower credit score. However, your down payment will increase. So if you've got a 580 credit score, they're typically looking at about 3.5% down payment. Okay, it's not a 10% or 20% down payment. That kind of dispels the myth. You don't have to have a whole lot of money for a down payment. So they typically look at 3.5%. If you have a lower credit score than a 580, that down payment percentage will increase. If you're interested in getting a conventional loan, you're looking at a 620 credit score roughly with a 3% down payment. And then you've got the VA loans, which are loans that are backed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And they typically require a 640 credit score. However, you don't have any down payment. You don't have to put anything down. And so depending on who your agent is, as I said, with the company that I work with, we have an expert team of lenders, of attorneys. We've got all of that in our back pocket. So that's why I say it's important that you find the right agent for you first, because then they can connect you to who you need to be connected with in order to move forward. And so depending on who your lender is, they'll be able to provide for you various options for down payment assistance. There are many down payment assistance programs out there. So if you're struggling and you don't have the money to put down on a home, there are programs out there. I know one program that we use here is NACA. A lot of folks use the NACA program. Great program. You pretty much go through a workshop. They set you up for success. You bring your agent on, and then you go out there and you find your property. They assist you with your down payment. And so there are many options out there. So don't, sit around and hope for it. Begin making moves. Begin connecting with folks. Find out, like I said, figure out who you're going to work with. Find you an agent. Find you someone that you trust, someone that you know will get you to the finish line. And so, like I said, the very first step, number one, find an agent. Number two, get your pre-approval letter. Why do you need a pre-approval? The pre-approval is essential because, number one, it tells you how much house you can afford. There's no sense in you spending all this time online and wasting gas going to these houses and you don't know what you can afford. So you need to have the pre-approval to know how much house you can afford. It's also great as a leveraging tool for when you start going to open houses. When your agent finds the home that you're interested in, it's a great leverage tool for when you're placing your offer. So it's imperative that you get a pre-approval. It lets the sellers know that you're serious, and it really helps you outbid the competition. And so once you get your pre-approval, now these are things that you really, really need to be cautious of. Once you get your pre-approval, you do not want to take out any new credit cards. You do not want to go get a new car. You do not want to take out any type of personal loans. You don't want to, even when it comes to deposits into your checking and savings accounts, you don't want to put anything in your account that's undocumented, that's unverifiable. You don't want to go into your credit card accounts and start closing accounts. Don't start moving monies around. Don't even dispute things on your credit report. Once you get that pre-approval, you need to just sit still until you get to the closing table, which usually takes roughly around 45 days, depending on the transaction, depending on the lender, and depending on your financial situation. It's about 45 days to the closing table. So for those 45 days, you need to sit still. Don't go out buying anything that's going to hit your credit. Even inquiries. Inquiries can hurt your credit. So make sure you're not online trying to see what credit card you can be approved for. Don't do any of that once you get that pre-approval, because They are watching your credit up until the day of closing. And at any point, you can get to day 42 and do well, and then something hits your credit and messes up the entire process. So it's important that you are not going out and spending and going on these binges. And then once you get to the finish line, it's a huge moment. Like, that's a huge moment to get to the finish line and finally be like, man, I really did this. We really did this. We really got to the closing table. And it is possible. It is possible. You've just got to be connected to the right people and need to have the right conversations. Now, if we look at a real estate transaction on the seller side, as far as talking about preparation, as a seller, it's important that you know, number one, whether or not you have a clean and clear title. So like I said, with the company that I work with, we're one-stop shop. We have a title company, our own in-house title company. You need to have your title pulled and make sure that there's no liens against your title. Make sure that there's nothing against your title that will send up red flags. You need to make sure that your taxes, your property taxes, are paid up. You need to know your home from the inside out, okay? Because the last thing that you want is to put your property on the market and then there's something that comes up that you didn't even know, that the buyer found out that you didn't know as the seller. So you should know your home from the inside out, and even repairing things that you know need to be fixed. So if you've got a refrigerator and the door handle is broke, that's something that you want to make sure you repair, because it's just going to add more value when buyers are coming in and out of your home. You want to make sure, if you are unsure about deficiencies in your home, or you think that there's something wrong, but you're not quite sure, you can't quite put your finger on what the deficiency is, hire you an inspector. Inspectors are generally no more than $500, really depending on the square footage of your home, but hire you an inspector. I've got that in my back pocket as well. Hire you one before you place your property on the market so that you know what's going on with your home. Okay. And then you need to make sure you know the value of your home. So I've got like a website where you can literally go into my website. You can plug in your property address, and it will tell you what your home valuation is, what your property values at. So you can use that, or if you're even unsure about that, get you an appraisal. Get you an appraisal done so that you can know how much your house is worth before you go into any deal. Okay. And then finally, make sure your property's clean. Clean your property from top to bottom. That means decluttering. That means repainting your walls. If you've got purple walls and red walls, that's an eyesore to buyers when they come in. You want buyers to be able to imagine themselves in the space. You want them to be able to come into your home and feel like, man, this is my home, and they can imagine their family occupying the space. And so less is more. Keep things simple. Declutter. Lots of natural light. Small touches, just like a little simple plant or a little flower or something, just small touches go a long way. And then also your landscape. Make sure your yard is well manicured. Make sure that when people come to your home, that there's nice curb appeal and they can tell that you've taken very good care of your property. And finally, you want to make sure your property is priced to sell. In a market like what we're in today, pricing is everything. Pricing is everything because it is extremely competitive out here. There are bidding wars left and right. People are placing multiple offers, and you want to make sure that your property is priced to sell. Okay. So as far as preparation, that's pretty much it. You need to make sure, number one, you find you an awesome agent. Number two, make sure you get that pre-approval, that you're working on things with your credit, that you're keeping that credit card utilization at 30% or less. Okay, so if you've got credit cards, you need to be paying those credit cards down. You need to call those creditors. If you've got collection accounts, you need to go ahead and close those out. Find out how you can settle those accounts, close them out, and have them removed from your credit report. Okay, so that means contacting the person you owe the debt to, the entity that you owe the debt to, letting them know, hey, I want to go ahead and pay this off. I need you to take this off of my credit report, and then contacting the credit bureaus to make them aware. These are just easy ways to clear your credit up and get that score boosted, because it's so much easier for your score to drop than it is for you to lift it up. So anything that you can do to get your credit score where it needs to be is going to be essential to you being able to obtain that pre-approval. Okay, so clearing up debts, making sure your credit card utilization is 30% or under. making sure that your debt to income ratio, a lot of people think going into to get a pre-approval that if I have more income and my credit score is down here, or they try to use either the credit score or the income to offset one or the other. And that's just not how it works. So your credit score is really used just to determine your interest rate, to determine your eligibility, and to determine your interest rate. Okay, that's the only thing your credit is going to be used for. Your debt to income ratio is really the make or break factor. So if you've got more debt than you've got income coming in, you're not in a good place. And so your lender will then put an action plan in place for you to start clearing up some of this debt to free up some income. Okay. If you feel like you need to add somebody to the application, it's great if they have, a good credit score. That's wonderful. But if they don't have income to add to that to give you more buying power, it's no point in it. So credit score is used for eligibility. Credit score is used to determine the interest rates. Interest rates are still in an all-time low. We're still in a 3% interest rate, which is phenomenal. And we've held that the entire pandemic. So that's why there's so much demand out there, and just a lot of sellers who are hesitant to put their properties on the market, so we don't have a lot of inventory. But right now is the time. Okay, if you're interested in purchasing, right now is the time for you to get your feet to the pavement. Okay, take that step, find your agent, connect with the right agent, and then take it from there. Right now is the time. And usually your pre-approval, once you get it, it only lasts 90 days. Okay, once you get your pre-approval, it lasts 90 days. Typically, it'll take maybe 1, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how quickly you move. Okay, so those are the first steps.
Thank you. We got so much from you today, Patrick. And I mean, we got questions that we're going to come back to. You've shared so much and enlightened us, and I'm so grateful for you. So I want you to stay tuned. I want you to sit still, get some water, get refreshed. We're going to bring you back in a minute. And until we do that, again, everybody, can you just clap it up for my brother, some virtual hand claps for the information that he's provided for us. It is so amazing that all of these things are available to us, and the misnomers, you just heard him talk about what the credit score does, but how important the income is with it. So I hope you guys are grabbing these nuggets and sharing. And so now I'm going to bring on my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cousin, who is an amazing realtor. And I'm just really proud of her in the work that she's doing in the Maryland area, and even the insight that she gives to our family. So I'm going to bring on right now my cousin Tisha Doyle, and she's going to take us a little bit further. How you doing, Tisha?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited. Patrick got me charged, and now I can't
He has
wait.
me charged. He has me charged. He is he's always the intro, okay?
All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you now that he's given us the tools how to get started. What's next? What can a person expect once they get into the process? It's all on you, cousin.
Okay. So Patrick is already giving you the initial tools, the things you need to do with identifying a realtor for yourself, getting your pre-approval. Those are the things you definitely have to do up front, because it saves you a lot of heartache. It saves you a lot of time wasted. Now, once you've done that, one of the first things your real estate agent is going to sit down and talk to you about, and this may be in person, or because of the environment we're in, it could be virtually, it could be telephonic, is what's motivating you to move? What's driving you? What are your needs? What are your desires? And this allows that agent to tailor the type of properties that they begin to show you, so that you're not wasting time. Because as Patrick said, we're in a market where there's a lot of buyers and not as many properties for sale. So what that means is you have to be very intentional when you're looking at properties. You have to be very intentional about the properties that you believe you may be interested in going to see, because like you said, most properties are getting multiple offers. There's bidding wars. So you don't want to waste your time with a property that you may rank a 5 when there's a property that's a 1 you want to make sure you go and look at that property that you're ranking number 1 first, because you want to be first to get an offer in hopes that your offer is accepted by that seller. So in that first initial consultation, that's some of the things that your agent is going to talk to you about. They're also going to talk to you about if you're looking for a resale property or are you looking for a new build. Even if you're looking at a new build, you still need to have your own real estate agent, because I will tell you, when you go in to these new build locations, the individuals that are working in those locations, they work for the builder. They're not your agent. So they're going to look out for the best interest of that builder. So you want to make sure you have an agent that's knowledgeable and that's on your side to ensure that they're still negotiating on your behalf. So that's one of the first things you want to do. The second thing is location, right? You start to think about, what location am I looking to move to? Am I looking for the suburbs? Am I wanting to be in a downtown urban area? Do I want a lot of grass? Do I want to be in a high rise? These are all the things that you'll talk to your real estate agent about, so that he or she can then tailor your list to ensure that you're only looking at properties that really match your criteria. Patrick talked about the pre-approval. So during this time when you're consulting with your agent, you're also getting your pre-approval, because he said, how much house can you afford? You never want to start looking at houses that are above what you can afford, because I can tell you then after that, you're not going to like anything that you see. If you start looking at houses that are $500,000, and unfortunately then you come back and your pre-approval is only at $450,000, it may be a little bit difficult. It may be difficult to find some of the houses, because as you spend more money, you receive more features in homes. So you want to make sure that before you start going into homes and really looking at them, that you know what the bank is willing to lend you, and that's how much house you can afford. Next, your agent will then, once they have that list of your identified requires and desires, they'll then put in what we call the multiple list system. They'll put all that criteria in, and you'll start to receive automated alerts. And your agent, is up to you how often you receive them. I'll tell you, in this existing market, you want to get them as soon as possible. In the past, some people would say, oh, every other day is good, or once a week is good, depending on where they are in terms of the process, if they're ready to go now to buy a house or if they're waiting a little bit. But if you're looking to buy a house now, you want to get an alert every time something hits the market that matches your criteria, because what happens is agents are on the hunt for their clients. And when a house hits the market, they're already scheduling showings. And so if the first day the house hits the market, there's 8 or 9 showings, well, now guess what? There's a good chance that offers are going to come in for that house. And if the seller receives an offer that they cannot pass up, that house is gone. There are houses that are not staying on the market for 24 hours because people are moving so quickly to get offers and really good offers in to sellers. So you want to make sure that you are receiving the emailers, whatever email that you give to your agent, make sure it's an email that you check. Make sure you have notifications on your phone or your computer, so that as soon as the listing comes in, if it's something you want to see, your agent's able to then get you in to see that property. All right, so now we've gone to look at properties. You found the one. You make an offer. That's the next thing, making an offer. And Patrick talked about having an experienced realtor. This is when experience really comes into play, because your agent is going to probably speak with that selling agent before you put your offer in, so they kind of get the lay of the land. They know if there's a lot of offers, if there's a lot of competition, because that's going to drive how they then educate you on what you should offer for a home. Now you get to make the ultimate choice. It is your money that you are spending. We are just your agents and working on your behalf. But what your agent's going to tell you is, if you want this house and you're really serious, our offer has to be competitive. There are market times where you can offer less for a home and have no worries as to if your offer is going to be accepted. Right now, I can tell you here in the Maryland area, most homes are selling above what they're listed for, and sometimes by tens of thousands of dollars. So if there's a house at $390,000, a lot of those properties are going for 410, 415. And so as an agent, that's our job to make sure we're educating you on what the market is doing from a sales perspective as well. And that's another tool that we have in our toolbox to see, well, where are houses selling? Where are agents listing them for? But what are the actual final sales price? So then we can educate you, because the seller's agent is doing the same thing. They're letting them know, we listed it for a price. This is where other houses are actually selling at since we've listed our house. So we kind of know what type of offers we should be expecting. So that's why another experienced realtor is really important, because making an offer is going to make and break you. And a lot of buyers get really frustrated, but I'll tell you, don't get frustrated. You will not be the first or the last buyer to potentially make more than one offer on several homes. I've had a client, one of my last clients I worked with, unfortunately with this market, we made 4 offers before their 5th offer. The 5th house that they made an offer on is the one that they actually got. And it was not because our offers weren't competitive. We were very competitive. We offered over asking price, but it's just that somebody else may have been willing to offer a few extra dollars. So you have to be really smart in your offers, especially in the market that we're in right now. So then after you make an offer, you found the house, you made your offer was accepted. What next? So now that your contract is accepted and you have what we call a ratified contract, there's some things that are going to happen really fast. In that offer, your agent advised you that there were some inspections you probably wanted to do on the house, unless there was a house that you were buying as is. And even if you're buying a house as is, you still have the right to do inspections so that you know what you're getting with the house. But if you're buying a house and you have some financing, you have some inspections that you've negotiated in your contract, this part of the process, time is of the essence, because you've told the seller that within a certain amount of time, you would get each of these things done. And normally we typically see between 10 to 15 days for structural home inspection. And that's where you hire an inspector to come in. They look over the house, make sure their mechanical things are operating, functioning properly. This could be the stove, their air conditioner, the refrigerator, the dishwasher. They're checking the windows. They're making sure everything is functioning in proper and working conditions. And if they're not, then they give you a report. You receive a report after your inspection. They let you know things that that could be security, affect the security of your home. So then those things are that you can go back and talk to the seller about, maybe them fixing for you prior to you going to close on the house. They'll let you know, they'll give you a checklist of things that you should monitor them because they're in working condition now, but due to the life of them and the life expectancy, for instance, your air conditioner could be working, or heat, depending on what season you're in, could be working proper now. But if it's reaching the end of the life expectancy, your inspector is going to note that for you so that you know everything has a lifespan. And although it's working properly today, you want to set yourself up to know future expenses when buying a home, because it's a little bit different from renting. Now, you can get warranties when you buy a home, but when you're a homeowner, it's different. You're not calling up your landlord and saying, hey, my air is not working, and he or she is sending somebody over. You're then responsible for ensuring that those things are taken care of when they're not working properly. So that home inspection is going to give you some insight to the things that you maybe want to monitor so that you're prepared in the event that something happens. So like I said, this part of the process, it moves kind of quick because you have a certain time frame to get them done. And then you have to provide that information to the seller, especially if you're going to ask that seller to repair something for you. So once all that's done, this is what we call then the honeymoon period, right? Everybody's really excited. Everything's going on. We're going to buy a house. We're moving. You're talking to your agent probably daily because there's just so much information that's being shared back and forth and things that need to happen quickly. But after the inspections happen, one of the next major things is your mortgage company is going to order an appraisal. And normally the appraisal happens after an inspection, because the inspection, once you make an offer on the home, you have an opportunity to say, there's just a lot going on with this house. I'm not really wanting to take on the things that I see down the road. I may have to invest in this home, and I don't think this is the right house for me. right? And as an agent, we have to be okay with you as a client and saying, you know what, I know we spent a lot of time together. I know we've done a lot in this process, but I don't know if this is the right home for me because there has to be a reason. You can't just back out and get Kofi and say, oh no, I'm not going to buy. You get jitters because your agent there is then to calm you down at that point and say, it's okay. They're going to walk you through the process when you get a little antsy. But if the home inspection comes back and you say, you know, there's a lot going on with this house, I'm not sure if I'm willing to take it on. If the seller's not willing to fix some things, this is a time where you may be able to then get out of your transaction. But as an agent, our job is to provide you information and the options that you have up until that point as well. So then the bank will order an appraisal. An appraisal is when they determine the value of the house. And this is based on the selling of other like homes in the area. So if you're in the area and you have a wide variety of homes, from condos to flats to townhomes to single family homes, you have to be cognizant, because a lot of people say, oh, I saw this house and it sold for over $100,000 more than what I'm offering my house. And your agent then will tell you, you have to look at homes that are like in nature, right? So you can't look at a house, if your house is a 3-bedroom house and it's sold for, you were offering it for a certain price, and then there's a home that's a 5 or 6 bedroom house. You have to take that into consideration when you're looking at the pricing. But the appraisal will come out, they'll evaluate the home, and they'll then assign a value of its worth. And so at this point, your agent and the bank will receive that back. And we always want people to go in a little equity in their houses. So as buyer agents, I'm always really excited when we get an appraisal back and we hear everything is good. That's what we want to know. Everything is good. And so what that means is that the appraisal came back and the price that you offered the seller, the house appraised for at or above. Because as the buyer, you receive that information. It's not something that you have to share with the seller, but you receive the information. Anytime it comes back and it's above what you've offered, that is great, because that means that you are going into your house with some equity. Equity is always important, because sometimes things happen and you may need to use that equity down the line. So it's always great to go into a house with equity. So now the appraisal has come back and we're playing the waiting game. Patrick talked about you not expanding any additional credit, not making any purchases. This includes furniture. I know you're excited, especially a lot of our first-time home buyers get really excited once the appraisal comes back and we say everything is good to go. Now we're just waiting on the bank to finish what they need to do. And then they start shopping. Don't do it. Do not do it, because like he said, the bank is continuously monitoring you. And although they've already received your bank statements, they still can ask you for updated bank statements prior to going to closing. So you don't want to show that you spent a lot of money out of your account. You don't want to show that you've opened that account at that furniture store. Even if they're telling you that is same as cash, don't do it. Just wait, because it's well worth it in the end, because the last thing you want is for that bank to come back and tell you that they're unable to now extend you this mortgage because of some expenses that you have now occurred. So the appraisals happen. We're playing the waiting game. This is what we call like the breakup period a little bit. It's a little bit of mourning, because you're not talking to your agent as much. You're not on the phone with your agent every day. Your agent is probably giving you periodic updates, as is your mortgage lender. Whatever lender you decide to go with, they should be a lender that's providing you updates. At a minimum, it should be weekly. The lender should be telling you what's going on, so you're never left waiting and wondering where you are in the process and what's happening with your application. So that's definitely something to consider. And you can always Google any lender that you're looking to extend or take out a mortgage with to get comments. See what people, because consumers love to make comments, good, bad, or indifferent. They're going to comment on lenders. So you want to make sure if they say that the communication wasn't that great, that's something to take into consideration, because you want to make sure that they're communicating with you and you know what's going on, because you never want any surprises down the line. So then this is the mourning period. You're not talking to your agent as often, but you're getting closer to your closing date. So before the closing date, that final mortgage application is going to be approved. And normally this happens 7, could be 14, depending on lender, but normally about 7 days before you're set to go to closing, we'll see that final mortgage approval. They let us know everything is good to go. You're clear to close. So clear to close may happen a little bit closer to the date that you're expecting to go to closing, but clear to close means that everything is good, everything is in order, all of the documents are great, your financials are still in great standing, and you are clear to close. And at that point, you're now ready to go to the closing table. When you go to the closing table, it's really exciting. I tell you, if you're a first-time home buyer, they normally just light up when they walk in the room, when they pull in the parking lot. As an agent, if you're sitting in your car and you see your client pull in, they're normally smiling and grinning from ear to ear, because guess what? This is a big moment for them. And even if you're not a first-time home buyer, you may be buying a home where you've outgrown your initial home and you're buying a new home for your family. So the home buying process in itself is a great opportunity for anyone. Doesn't matter what walk of life you're in or what stage of your life you're in. But when you go to the closing table, now things have gotten a little more streamlined. Before, closing would take a long time because there's a lot of documents that you must sign. A lot of people joke and say they're signing their life away. And sometimes it does feel like you're signing your life away as a buyer, but there are a lot of documents. But now the process, especially in this virtual environment, has been streamlined. So a lot of mortgage companies and title companies are able to get some of the documents over to you, and you've already e-signed them. So then when you go to the closing table, you could potentially only be there for about 30 minutes. And so it's important to remember that your title company will let you know ahead of time if there's any funds that you do have to bring to closing, because that's when they're due, and they have to be, most title companies now require that you wire the funds to them ahead of time, because they don't take cash. If there's a few changes after you've wired, they'll ask you to bring a check with you in case there's a little bit of a difference in numbers, that may be something extra, an extra fee that came in that wasn't on initial documents. But anything that you have to pay at closing, that is wired to that title company before you go. And that you have to do it because they provide you in writing. They also give you the instructions in writing. Most of them have a portal where they're communicating directly with you through the portal. So one thing that I want to make sure I mention, because fraud is real, fraud is prevalent in our real estate industry. There have been so many individuals that have been defrauded because they have wired funds somewhere erroneously. Do not wire funds if someone just sends you an email and provides a link or an address that they're supposed to be wired to. Before you wire any funds, verify with that title company that this is correct and that they sent this information to you, because there are a number of people that have been defrauded, and unfortunately it's almost impossible at sometimes to get that money back, and we don't want to see any of our clients defrauded. Fraud is real. As you see on the screen, fraud is real. There are a lot of people, if only half of those people that's out defrauding would take that energy and set it for good, our world would be a better place. But we want to make sure our clients know, please do not wire any funds that you have not verified that the information came from your title company. And so then once you go to closing, you sign all your documents, you get your keys, and now you get to go and buy all that lovely furniture, all of your wall art. You get to decorate as you please. This is now the time where you get to spend your money as you see fit, because we cannot tell you how to spend your money. But I'll tell my clients all the time, pace yourself. Rome was not built in a day or a weekend. So you don't have to furnish your home the first week that you're in your home. You just have to make sure it's comfortable for you and your family. And you have to make sure that you're able to then live, because you don't want to be house poor. A lot of people joke about that. Well, what's being house poor? House poor is when you go and you spend all your money because you want to make this house this wonderful and grand thing initially up front, out the gate. You don't have to impress. There's nobody to impress but yourself. You are your standard. So you do not have to impress anybody on the outside. Do not let social media tell you that your house has to be decorated as the magazines have them. That is not your standard. You set your standard, and you ensure that you can then uphold what it is you need to do financially, because once you're in your home, that's your mortgage. That's your monthly payment. And the last thing you want to do is go into your home, expend all your savings to try to keep up with what we call the Joneses, to then have to worry about your mortgage payment month number 2, month number 3. That's not a situation that you want to be in. That's not a good feeling. So I tell my clients, pace yourself. Pace yourself, pace yourself. So now that's the process. That's the home buying process. Like I said, there are a couple phases. Some of them go really fast. Some of them slow down. But at the end of the day, home ownership is beautiful. And I'm not saying it because I'm an agent. I'm saying it because I'm a homeowner as well. And I know the joys of buying a home. And as agents, our job is to serve you as the client, and we love nothing more than our clients to be happy and satisfied with the purchase that they made, because this, for most people, is one of the largest purchases they'll make in their entire life. And so we always want to make sure that you're making the right decisions as consumers and that you're comfortable in the decision that you're making, because it's a decision that you'll live with. You'll live with at least until you decide to become a seller. And one of the things, you don't ever want to go into your house unless something happens and there's a change in your circumstance and you have to sell your house immediately. A lot of people say, oh, I'm going to buy this house and I'll only stay here for a year or two and then I'll move to something else, so it doesn't really matter. It does matter. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to be uncomfortable in your situation as soon as you walk in the door. You don't want to go in with the mindset that is short term, because then that's how you treat it, right? You want to enjoy it. Even if it is short term, you want to enjoy it while you're there, and then think about down the road, maybe some of the things that you decide and decisions that you make down the road. But that's all I have in terms of the home buying process. I'm looking forward to any questions that we have.
Woo, that was good. Thank you. I mean, you came through with that. Don't become house poor. That thing was good. We do have a few questions. I'm gonna join Patrick back in. I believe that everybody has been enjoying this. It has been great information, and I'm gonna filter through some of the questions. And if anyone else has questions, we'll take a few of them before we get off. I really appreciate you guys and your time. Thank you so much for all of this wealth of knowledge that you've provided for us today. I really believe that it has helped people. So the first question that I want to show for you guys to read, it says, do you choose the loan, or is the loan attached to a specific home, such as foreclosure? I believe that's asked. So I'm going to just throw it out there for whoever wants to chime in and answer. Do you choose the loan, or is the loan attached to a specific home?
It's really based on what you qualify for. It depends, going back to what we were saying earlier, depends on that credit score. And it depends on what you will actually qualify for as to what loan you would probably move forward with. Like I said earlier, FHA 580 or below. And then if you want a conventional loan, which you get more benefits with that, as well as that down payment is roughly around 3%, you're looking at a 620 credit score. So it really just depends on your credit score, your financial situation, and what makes the most sense for you.
Patrick, and I think the only thing that I would add to that is with the FHA loan, because there are some additional requirements for the home in itself. Sometimes the lender will ask, well, do you think this home will qualify for FHA loan? So if I know she asked about foreclosure, I guess a lot of people, especially those who are going into flips, or house, or even just foreclosing themselves. Sometimes there are some requirements with the FHA loan that the house has to be at a certain standard. So that may determine your mortgage, the type of loan you take out. But as Patrick said, credit score is probably definitely the biggest of it that'll decide. But just keep that in mind, that depending on the house and how it is, the condition of it, the conditions are what I was looking for. There could be a potential that you may believe that you're going to start with an FHA loan, but then once an inspection comes back, there could be a potential for that to change to maybe a conventional, just because of the house and its condition.
Yeah, that's good.
Good, thank you. Let's go to the next question. It says, since it's a competitive buying market, are you all recognizing a trend of clients willing to offer additional money over the appraised value worth of the property to have an advantage?
Oh, yes. But that could totally go in another direction. Could totally go in another direction. And just kind of going back to what Tisha was saying a second ago, it really depends on whether or not that house can appraise at the value at or above the value that it was listed at and that the offer was made at. We've seen where people offer above the list price and then it doesn't appraise. And then now you have to have that conversation with your seller, hey, either we're going to have to drop the price or we're going to have to let the deal go dead, and it's one of those things. And so right now, being that it's a very competitive market, people are asking for highest and best upfront. And highest and best doesn't necessarily have to always mean money. Monetarily, at the end of the day, it all breaks down to money. But sometimes they're looking for the terms of the contract. Can you close sooner? Are you willing to? Some people will take the property as is to leverage their offer. So there's other things that go into being able to leverage your offer besides offering the highest dollar.
And also points to that, because this may be a cash buyer. I don't know. That question, the way it was worded, I'm thinking maybe a cash buyer, Patrick. So if you are a cash buyer and you so desire to buy a house over the appraised value, you can do that because it's cash. But if you are taking out a mortgage loan, the bank is not going to give you 1 cent above what that house appraises for. Now, I will tell you, I had a seller's agent ask me about a month ago if my client was willing to bring the additional cash because the house did not appraise. And so the seller's agent wanted my client to then bring it. It didn't appraise by $10,000. They wanted my client, the buyer who has a mortgage. The bank was not going to give her a mortgage above the appraised value. They wanted her to then bring that cash to the table. And as an agent, I told her absolutely not. We were not even going to consider that. But as a cash buyer, if you want to buy a home above the appraised value because you have this crystal globe and you know that the market is going to increase before you decide to get rid of it in the future, then by all means, as a cash buyer, you can buy a home for above the appraised value.
Great. That's great information. I think that knowing that you guys are saying that and you paused your client, it goes back to your initial statement that you definitely do not want to go into this without an agent because your knowledge is not vast enough. And if that person didn't have you, Tisha, she probably would have drummed up that $10,000 extra, which would have. Is it the same? Would it have put her, like the property would not have value? She would be the upside down going in?
Yes. Yes.
So definitely, everybody, please do not try this alone. So I'm going to take 2 more questions. Oh, this is a good question. I'm going to show this one. It says, Amazon has built a fulfillment center in my area. Will that increase my property value automatically? So if a big box company comes into the area, does the property value automatically increase? That's a great question.
So in our area, we have, so within a 30-mile radius, we have had 3 Amazon warehouse distribution centers built because I live right on Interstate 95. And so I will tell you, we are seeing an increase in our home values. Why? Because jobs are coming to the area, because people are moving in the area. And when you see that trend of growth, that means that money is coming in the area. And so then our market value does tend to increase. Yes. So, and I think, Patrick, you can chime in on this if you want, but now that's not always the case. Because there are some instances where when you see more commercial entities coming into the market, the home values start to drop because a lot of people move out of the area. They start to sell their homes a lot. It's a mass exit because nobody wants to hear the trucks. They're worried about the traffic. They're worried about safety. So it could go either way, but I will tell you what we're seeing now by our overwhelming majority is our home prices are definitely by probably 20% or more increasing here in our area.
No, I totally agree with you. We actually have a fulfillment center here. I live in Matson, and we just we're opening up one just down the road from where I live. And so, yes, that will increase your property value. It will also increase your property taxes. So be aware of that. As more is coming into the area, those taxes are going to increase. So when you start looking, so say you're interested in looking in the burbs or somewhere like that, you'll notice that a lot of the more well-developed suburbs, the property taxes are a lot higher than those that are not as developed, or where the developments have kind of dwindled away and it's mostly vacant land or abandoned properties. So yeah, I definitely agree. As these centers, as jobs are coming to the area, it's definitely going to increase the property value.
Great. Man, we're almost, y'all, we were almost at a point we got cut off. It's been an hour, but I could really go on and on because you guys are providing so much information, and I love it that we're having this kind of conversation. So the last question that I'll take, because this is a good one, I just faced this. So the question is, can you explain the difference from contingent versus pending? If you can give insight on that, that'll be our last question. We'll close out. But if anybody has anything before we close out, I'll make sure you guys give your information. So can you explain the difference between contingents versus pending?
You can go ahead.
Well, contingent just basically means that the property is now under contract, depending on several contingencies that are in place. So depending on, you getting the inspection and attorney review and those different types of things, once it moves from that status, we've closed the attorney review period. Now we're pending. Now we're pending on getting to the closing of the sale.
Okay. Guys, you have provided so much information, and I really hope that the information has not scared people off, because sometimes when people get information, they're like, oh, forget that. That's too much. But I hope that it has caused us to say, yes, I can do this. We can do it if I just pace myself. It is I'm here. I'm a living witness. It is a worthwhile investment. It is definitely something that people can look towards leaving to their children, their children's children, and everything. Yes, you won't be able to call the landlord to say, come fix this, but you will also benefit from all of the different programs that are available to homeowners. And so, Patrick and Tisha, thank you so much. This is what I feel like the Lord has been showing me, that we got one area of it right, but there's also these financial pieces that we may fall short, that we need to start spending more time on discussing, so that we don't live beneath our privilege and that knowledge doesn't scare us. So Tisha, I know you're in that area over there on the East Coast. I'm gonna promise you, we coming sometime soon. Vaccinations and all, we coming. How can people, if they have more questions for you, how can they reach you?
So you can reach me on my Instagram is Houses with Mrs. Doyle. That's HOUSES with spelled out Mrs. Doyle, DOYLE. I'm also on Facebook, Tisha Doyle Realtor. And then my email is my name, Tisha Doyle @Long and Foster, or you can do at lnf.com.
Okay. Brother Patrick?
Yes, I am with Baird & Warner. You can reach me. A telephone number is 859-402-3828. The 859 throws people off all the time. It's a Kentucky area code. I lived in Kentucky for years before coming back to Chicago. I'm also on Facebook. More Than a Realtor is my tag name, More Than a Realtor. And then I'm also on Instagram with the same tag name. And then my website is www.patrickeasley.bairdwarner.com.
Okay, I hope I typed that fast enough for y'all, but if not, y'all can go ahead in the chat and type y'all stuff in there, because my nails was inhibiting my speed. So again, I want to say thank you to you guys. This has been great. We're going to come on every month with information. We're going to be talking to military people. We're going to be talking to legal people. We're even going to have 1 month where we talk about foster care. And we want to really make sure that we're an informed generation. We are not just making moves, but we're making wise decisions. And so this has been presented to you by SOAR again. And so if you want to, we are a nonprofit organization. We operate by donations. We're seeking grants so that we can put this on a wider scale, because I think that this information is great. I could sit and do this kind of talking for all. I guess Tisha will tell you our granddaddy would love this kind of talk.
I was just about to call you John Jr.
He would love this kind of talking, because it definitely positions us in a financial category that has not been afforded to our people for many, many years. And again, I said this earlier, we may be working behind the curve or behind where society would have us, but I'm grateful that we get the opportunity to get this information, and through faith, we move. Now, don't faith move. You can't bypass the process and say, the Lord told you to do it. You got to take these steps, and you got to move in it. And I will close with this, and either one of them can have a closing remark, or both of them can close on this, how important patience is for that process. And so before I say my last piece, make sure you go to our website, make a donation, or partner with us monthly, and so that we can continue to bring these things. These amazing professionals are donating their time. I mean, I'm gonna bless them on their birthdays, but they donate their time, their knowledge, their wisdom, and so definitely help us out. So, I will say this, and I'll do Tisha, and I'll let Patrick close. There is a scripture in no uncertain terms. It talks about after you do all of this, you are in need of patience. So how important would you say patience is in a closing remark? And then when you're done, Patrick, you can have a say about patience, and then we'll end for the day.
So I would say patience, especially if you're entering this real estate market, is key, because as we've both said, it's competitive now, and you have to understand that in God's time, it'll happen. And so just because you think it's your dream house, it may not be. You have to trust the process, and you have to know that whomever you've hired to represent you at your agent, that they should be looking out for your best interest. And if they're not, then you need to get you an agent that is looking out for your best interest. But you have to trust the process. You have to be patient, and know that when your dream house is meant for you, there's nothing anybody is going to do to take that away from you. So that's what I will close on. Thank you, SOAR. Thank you, Val. Thank you, the entire team, for inviting me. So excited. I hope we get to do this again. Patrick, when I come to Chicago, I want to meet you.
Absolutely. We definitely have to meet. It's been a pleasure. When I think of patience, I think of the scripture in Galatians, be not weary in well doing. In due season, you will reap if you faint not. And sometimes taking this journey, it can be a very tedious, stressful, frustrating journey, which just goes back to the beginning of the conversation, which is why you need someone that can kind of be that liaison for you, that can kind of help hold your hand through the process, because it can be frustrating. But at the end of the day, as Tisha said, hang on in there. Stay in the race. Don't give up. You've got resources. You've got tools. You've got people around you who are willing to take this journey with you, and you don't have to do it alone. And on the other side of your waiting is going to be God's blessing and God's provision. So stay in the race. Be not weary. Don't get frustrated. Don't throw in the towel. Don't let yourself become over it. Stay in the race. And in due season, you're going to reap all that you have sown.
Oh,
so
thank you so much.
Valerie, thank you.
Thank you.
So again, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And like you said, Val, man, these conversations are so needed, especially in our community. We don't get enough of this type of education and enough of this type of knowledge dumped on us. So thank you for opening your platform for us to be able to have this conversation.
Thank you. And depending on the feedback we get, we may have to have you guys come back and we chop it up some more. So I appreciate you both. I pray blessings upon your businesses, your families, and all that you endeavor to do. Thank all of you who have been watching, whether you jumped in and out or whether you stayed the whole time. I pray that you were able to gather information that will help you through your process. Do not go at it alone. We were never meant to do life alone anyway. Everything God made, he paired it. And so make sure you pair and partner, and let's do some amazing things. I believe, and I close with this, that the key to changing our communities and our communities is making sure that our people move from one economic status to another. And real estate is really that roller skate, that skateboard, that motorcycle, that SUV that's going to jumpstart the process. So you all have an amazing Saturday. Give us your feedback. Don't forget to visit our website. And we look forward to seeing you again next month. And we'll be sending that information out pretty soon. Everybody have a blessed one. Bye-bye.